What's up, Melanated family? This is your boy Harrison, man, bringing you a brand new episode of the Melanated Convo podcast. I want to welcome everybody to the show. Like I always say, man, if this is your first time tuning into the Melanated Convo podcast, this is a show where I basically break down different things going on in the news. We make sure we stay tapped into what's going on with the black community. It's really important that we stay on top of not just news stories, but everything going on in our culture. That's extremely important. We also like to touch on different black businesses on the Melanated Convo podcast, being that economic is such an important factor in our society, important factor in our community specifically. So I make sure to talk about different black businesses that I find that I think are appealing, that I think the people in the community would mind rocking with. And also on the show, we always have a topic. Now, that topic can be about our children. That topic can be about something going on in society. That topic can be about the relationships with our woman or our man. You feel me? We just like to touch on real conversations and talk about real shit going on with our people so we can improve and, figure out ways to build upon what we've been doing already. You feel me? So let's get into it, man. I'm excited about today's show, family. There's a lot of shit been going on in the news. We still dealing with the coronavirus lockdown and all the ramifications about that, as far as some states being open to do business, some business being open, some businesses not being open, some states opening up their malls and different shit like that. So we're gonna get into a little bit of that. A lot of different news stories going on in the community, a lot of different racialized incidents. I like to make sure I touch on these incidents from time to time, just so we can have a great understanding of where we are. You know what I'm saying? I think there's a lot of black folks in our community that aren't as woke as I think they need to be. Just meaning we need to care about what happens to black folks, like as a unit, right? When we do all this individualized shit, that's going to continue to keep us in the same position that we've been in, family. So we got to see something happening with somebody black in New York or Phoenix or Dallas or somewhere other than the state you may live in and see that as your brother or your sister being harmed. You feel me? We got to start looking at ourselves as one big community instead of all this goddamn division that's been going on. You feel me? So today we're gonna have a great show. Like I said, we're gonna get into a couple black businesses. I got a fire topic for the family, and of course we're gonna talk about our news stories, family. So let's get into it. Now, the first news story I want to talk about, and it looks like all the news stories today is gonna have something to do with race, something to do with white supremacy, something to do with, how these folks be out here trying to treat us. And again, I don't like to make all my news stories based on a racialized incident or something along those lines, but we need to be aware of what's going on out here, family. We need to not only be aware, but we need to give a fuck. We need to see that it's real. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of shit that go on with us don't be justified. And, it's been that way throughout history, but we need to get on like a collective accord to kind of figure this shit out, right? So let's get into it, family. First story. This is out of Minnesota. So what happened? A 24-year-old white man named Anthony J. Trifoletti, he shot a 39-year-old black man named Douglas Lewis. Now, what happened is they were in a little fender bender. I think Mr. Lewis may have hit him on his bumper, right? After rear-ending him, both men got out of their vehicles. Mr. Douglas C. Lewis was 39 years old. Anthony J. Trifoletti, the white gentleman, was 24 years old, just to give you guys some context. So they get out of the vehicle, they're having a conversation. Apparently they're arguing or what have you. They decide not to get insurance information. It seems like everything's cool, right? So they eventually drive off. And as Mr. Trifoletti states it, Mr. Douglas Lewis followed him. He left the scene, made a couple rights, couple lefts. The black gentleman followed him. After a few minutes, he noticed he was following him. He got out to see what he was following him for. Apparently, and this is what the white gentleman is saying because he had a friend in the car with him that are kind of corroborating this same story. Apparently, the black gentleman got out of the car, letting them know that he was from GD or something like that, basically making it seem like he got out of the car and began to spew gang-related information at them, which, as they put it, scared them, right? So apparently, and I don't really believe this shit, the black gentleman got out of the car, got to telling him about what gang he's from and shouting at him, different shit like that. Ultimately, Mr. Trifoletti was scared. How he puts it, he was afraid for his life. So what he does, he pulled out his gun and shot him 3 or 4 times and kills the brother, right? So as I was saying, they've already set this up to make it seem like the brother was in a gang, right? So he's a black thug in a gang. They were scared for their life, so he felt like he had to shoot him. You feel me? And this is a 24-year-old white man. Keep it in mind, when the brother got out of the car the second time and walked over to Mr. Trifoletti's car, Mr. Trifoletti didn't get out. So he's just in the car, sees him coming, pulls out his gun and shoots him, right? And they're already setting it up to make this dude get off, right? So I talk about this story, family, because again, as we can see, the United States of America has a way of allowing white citizens to become like deputies themselves, right? To become like the judge and jury themselves, right? Because I don't think this young man, Mr. Anthony J. Trifoletti, I don't think he's gonna get a lot of time. I don't see anything the brother could have done differently in this situation. If you got into an incident with somebody and you want to verbally talk to them about what's going on, I don't think he said the gang shit. I don't think he mentioned, I think they were just throwing some random gangs out there to kind of cover their ass. I don't think he mentioned anything about no fucking GDE or nothing like that. I think the brother was coming at the car. He probably wanted to say more shit. White Americans in this country, in my opinion, especially in certain states, feel the need to always pack a gun, feel the need to be armed at all times, you feel me? Feel the need to damn near be training like they gonna be in some kind of war, when in actuality, family, it's just based on some race shit. It's just for us. You don't need all them goddamn guns to be hunting like that. You feel me? You don't need that. They use a firearm like Frances Cress Wilson said in her book, they use their firearm as like they dick almost. You feel me? That's the energy that they need to feel like they a man to a degree, because when it comes to fucking with us, ain't much they can do to us. You feel me? So these white supremacists be strapped. And I call them a white supremacist because if you a white man or a white lady who are doing something to somebody black based on their race, if their race is the reason why you're mistreating them, then you are a white supremacist and you have a system that actually backs you. You feel me? So looking at this young man, even looking at his goddamn picture, that's my feeling, family, that this is some racist shit. And again, the tone of the whole show today, family, the tone of the other news stories that I have, the tone of the actual topic that we gonna get into, the tone of all this is unity. The tone of all this is, after seeing what happens to us year after year after year in this country as black folks, what the fuck is we gonna do, right? So that's the tone of the show, family, and keep that in mind. So Mr. Trifoletti is basically saying that he was, the black gentleman was yelling out GD, he was scared for his life. He's already setting up the premise for him to get off, or to get a manslaughter charge or some bogus shit where he not really gonna do a whole bunch of time, you feel me? So in situations like this, there's not really much that we can do, unless, you know, we get to a position where we have black attorneys and we have, you know, a piece of the legal system on our side. Because I always feel like once we get to a courtroom, the odds are stacked against us, unfortunately. You know what I'm saying? So what do you do in a situation like this where you just want to have a conversation with a dude that just hit you, right? Or a conversation with a dude that you just had a fender bender with? There's no reason at all for this young man to shoot him, but I think not only are some white citizens deputized, but some of them understand how white supremacy works. Some of them understand how the system that we live in works. Meaning, if I shoot somebody black, all I gotta do is say he was trying to do something to me, and I'm probably not gonna go to jail. You see what I'm saying? Or I'm probably not gonna get a whole bunch of time. You feel me? You let a black man shoot another black man in a situation just like this, one of them getting life. Both of them probably end up going to jail. You feel me? So rest in peace to the brother Douglas C. Lewis. I just wanted to bring attention when a black man is slain or assassinated in this country. I know it happens a lot. I know some people feel as if we need to quit talking about it or highlighting it. Well, fuck that. Until all of us get on the same page collectively. Now, I don't mean gathering like my boy Tariq Nasheed say. I don't mean us gathering in a building together, or us unifying as far as meeting somewhere at 3 o'clock. What we gonna do? No, fuck that. I'm talking about a collective mind state. I'm talking about a code of conduct. I'm talking about just viewing your brother and sister with love and operating with a certain code of conduct no matter where you are in the United States of America. You feel me? So shit like this should enrage you and let you know that it's important that you make sure your children are aware of how racism works. Make sure the people around you are aware of how these incidents transpire, so we can try to make sure shit like this don't happen to us as well, right, family? So he shot him 3 or 4 times and killed the brother. He was charged, Anthony J. Trifoletti was charged with 2nd-degree murder. And again, like I said, he made sure he mentioned he was afraid for his life. So I think that incident, mentioning that in particular is, that's going to go a long way with him possibly getting off. Hopefully he doesn't. But again, I want to say rest in peace to the brother Douglas C. Lewis. You did not have to lose your life like that to a deputized white supremacist. You feel me? That's all that he encountered, right? So that's the first news story for today. Now check it out. Next news story. This is a short one, but this is just showing how I think whenever there's a crisis in this country, or like we're experiencing right now, a pandemic or anything that's going to affect the American populace in an extreme way, for some reason, no matter what that is, it always seems like black and brown people always end up getting the bad end of the stick. Like it's worse for everybody, but the shit be real fucked up for us for whatever reason, right? Well, shit, the reason is systematic racism, but that's always the case, family. And I bring up that point because we're in a situation right now where everybody is forced to wear masks. In a lot of places you go to, you have to wear masks. A mask is covering your face. In a lot of instances, a mask covering anybody's face is covering your identity. Somebody can't see your face expression. It looks lightweight suspicious. Now that's for any person, any adult wearing a fucking mask. I think that's pretty much how you can view that situation right now, right? Well, a black man, a Illinois state representative, a politician from Illinois named Cam Buckner. He was a black man, right? So he's actually coming out of a store with his bags in his hand. The police officer stopped him and asked him for his ID. He gives him ID, gives him his ID, gives him his receipt, let him know what he was in the store for. Basically fucking with him, right? Not knowing that this is a high-ranking political official in the area that they're in. And the cop basically told him, "I'm sorry, bro, but you look like you was up to something." Now, ain't that some shit, right? What if he would have put out his gun and shot him, or pulled out his gun and took him to jail, or made it more serious than it had to be, right? So you mean we're the suspect when we ain't got no mask on and we just showing our black skin, walking down the street, jogging down the goddamn street, right? We're the suspect then, but we're also the goddamn suspect when we're in a pandemic or where we're in a situation where we're forced to wear a mask. Everybody is forced to wear a mask. You know what I'm saying? So that's some real fucked up shit, man. That's just showing how the racialized incidents that we have to endure in this country are always going to be there, are always going to be prevalent. You know what I'm saying? And this is something that we need to understand as black folks in this country. And I bet that when most black folks reach a certain status, meaning you have spent years going to college, you have spent years doing what you feel you need to do to put yourself in a position to be the best person you can be. You're not living in the hood no more. You've escaped some of the ills of urban life to a degree. But these situations should always let everybody know that that's not the case, family. You black. You feel me? No matter how far you think you get away from the ills of our society or the ills of what comes with actually being a black man in this society, no, that's gonna always be the case. You know what I'm saying? So, man, for the brother in Illinois, I don't know the temperament of this black man. He could be a revolutionary brother who's doing everything he can in Illinois to fight. To fight everything that's going on with black folks in society. If so, brother, I'm sorry you had to go through that. You feel me? But if he was a coon, right? I mean, this is just me. This is me being real. If he was a brother who didn't necessarily see black people as being his people, then shit like this can be a wake up call for you. You feel me? You can go through shit like this, and it'll make you realize that you still black, regardless of how much money you amass, regardless of how much influence you amass. None of that really matters in a system of white supremacy, right? And some people in this country, some black people in this country, fail to realize that your economic standing really doesn't matter. Your economic standing really doesn't matter, family. At any time, you can be put in the same boat as any nigga in America. You feel me? Hence, why it's even more important for us to see each other as one, for us to see each other as a unit opposed to individuals. You feel me? And again, I don't know that that's the case of this brother, so I'm not going to put that on him. But we do have a lot of black people in America who put themselves in a good position financially, or put themselves in a good position socially, and then they kind of think they're removed from what could actually happen to them, or removed from what could happen to a black person who lives in a more urban situated area, right? But that's not the case, right? So hopefully this brother realizes that after going through that incident. Now, the next story I want to talk about, which was really disappointing, and this brother has spoke out against us a lot in the past, but I think it's important to highlight, whenever we have a black man or a black woman in America who is in a prominent position, just meaning they're on TV, they're in front of the media, they're in a position to reach millions of people every day. It's important that we call them out when they do things that that can negatively affect the black community as a whole, right? Because one of my biggest rules is if it's gonna take a lot for me to reprimand somebody black publicly. That's gonna take a lot. When there's so many different ways to contact people these days. You can reach them on different forms of social media. You can reach out to somebody that knows them. There's a lot of ways to contact people. So before I would go on TV and speak disparagingly about somebody black, I would try to contact them first, or I would contact them first, right? I wouldn't, like I was saying before, there has to be a code of conduct that we follow when it comes to how we deal with one another, right? And I only bring this up because LeBron came out after all of this, after this video came out of a shooting that took place with our brother Ahmaud Arbery, and I'm going to talk more about that later. My topic will have something to do about the assassination of our brother. But LeBron James basically came out and said that we get hunted in the street. He said we get hunted every day, was his exact words. And he was upset. He should have been upset. He's a black man in this country who realizes that regardless of how much money he has, he's still a target. His kids are still a target, right? He understands the target is still on his back and the pressure is still on at all times, you feel me? So he's speaking out against that, and that's something LeBron has been doing for a while now, and I appreciate that from the brother. I really respect the stance that he takes when it comes to what he see happens, or the injustices that he see happens to his people. He's supposed to do that shit, right? Now, Jason Whitlock, who is a fucking coon, and if any of you black folks aren't aware of what a goddamn coon is, if you do anything that negatively impacts black folks, and you know it, if you knowingly, here the key sense, here's the key phrase, if you knowingly do something that's going to negatively impact black folks as a whole, you are a fucking coon and you're setting us back. And Jason Whitlock is a great example of that. Jason Whitlock, who, keep in mind, in the past when LeBron James, he has a thing with LeBron James. When LeBron James has came out in the past and mentioned things, when LeBron James had nigga written on his garage in LA, Jason Whitlock came out and said, well, he shouldn't worry about that because he's far removed away from racism. I don't know what he's talking about being targeted. I mean, he's rich now. He ain't got to deal with that. You feel me? So this is this cool motherfucker's mentality, like I was saying a little earlier, as far as thinking, now that I have money, now that I have a claim, now that I'm revered by white society, somehow I'm excused from the shit that goes on with black folks, and that's just not the fucking case, right? So Jason Whitlock comes out and says LeBron James is just saying these things. He's just come out and saying these things because he wants to be revered as more woke than Michael Jordan. That he wants to appear as being more outspoken than Michael Jordan. If that That ain't the stupidest shit I ever heard in my life. That's why when I look at him, when I look at black men like Jesse Peterson, when I look at black men who openly speak negatively about black people in such a blatant way, and these is college educated dudes, I'm to believe that they know what the fuck they saying, right? I'm to believe that they doing this for the news station that they working for, just to get clicks, just to get attention, just for clickbait, just for trolling purposes. You see what I'm saying? I know goddamn well he's not that stupid. You feel me? That's why I call the brother a Cooning, because I don't think he's as stupid as he's letting on. You basically saying that he's only saying this to be more outspoken than Jordan. Jordan wasn't outspoken at all. Have y'all watched the Last Dance? I mean, I love the brother as an athlete, but he didn't give a fuck about us like that. He was about competing and selling shoes. And that was it, right? And he was an asshole, right? And he was an asshole and hella disrespectful. So LeBron ain't exhibiting none of those characteristics at all. He hasn't ever. So to come out and say some shit like this, in my opinion, I think the brother's just trolling. It's like a media form of trolling. And he doesn't really have an allegiance to the black community. So that's an extremely dangerous type of black man in our society, family. Because if we have young black people watching his show, if we have young black people watching what he does on TV, and they haven't been educated on the injustices of our country, or they haven't been educated on the disenfranchisement of black people world over, if they haven't been taught about these things, then they're going to hear this big, fat fucking coon talk this same type of shit. And they're going to be thinking, okay, maybe he's telling the truth. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's not smart enough to decipher when somebody is full of shit, or when somebody is really speaking some shit that's 100, right? Everybody isn't smart enough to decipher that. And that's the unfortunate part about our society, but that's just how it is. Donald Trump shows us that every day. He says outlandish, stupid shit, and people still follow him. People still will call the CDC or call different places to see if it's okay for them to drink pneumonia or drink alcohol, whatever the fuck he said. People are that goddamn stupid to a degree, right? So when I see black men like Jason Whitlock in our society, it's important that we point these type of black men out and know that we need to ostracize these motherfuckers. Like when we talk about unifying, when we talking about having a community, one thing we need to realize, family, is everybody can't go. That's a sad fact. Everybody's not going to want to go. Everybody's not going to have the aptitude to deal with this shit head on like we are. So we need to get rid of them. You feel me? We need to make sure that nobody takes them serious. They need to be the goddamn laughing stock of our community. Shit, in Haiti, before they went to war, goddamn it, you know who they killed first? The snitches. Anybody they seen that wasn't gonna ride, anybody they seen that didn't have they back, they got rid of they motherfucking ass first. You feel me? You feel me? And that's how I see brothers like Jason Whitlock. So at this point, I don't take him serious. He said several disparaging things about black people over the last few years that I've been paying attention to him. So we need to treat him like the goddamn clown that he is. You feel me? That's why it's important that we teach our families, we teach our children, we begin the education on the society that we live in and how that relates to the black man and the black woman. We need to start that conversation early as fuck, family. So when we experience men like this, my son, he laughs at this kind of, my youngest son who lives with me, laughs at this kind of shit too. We talk about these type of individuals in our community. We talk about these type of instances just so he can have a clear understanding. He can know who to not follow, but he can know who to pay attention to seriously and who not. You feel me? So fuck Jason Whitlock and any other black man in this country who feels that you can come out and openly speak negative about other black people, especially when you way off. Now, I'm not against black men and women talking about each other in a particular way, right? But if you're on a white platform saying some old negative coon shit, that make me feel like they put you up to it. You feel me? That made me feel like you doing this shit purposely to appease your boss. If that's the case, nigga, fuck you and kick rocks. We ain't got time for that shit. It's goddamn 2020 and we still got 40, 50-year-old black men out here talking about slavery was a choice, talking about fucking ain't no racism. What the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? So that's why it's important that we ostracize these assholes and we make sure everybody in our community know what they up to and what they represent. You feel me? So fuck Jason Whitlock. Next story. Now, a police officer, and this is a Mexican gentleman, and this is a story I seen out of New York. A police officer named Francisco Garcia is basically costing the city of New York several $100,000 right now. He's been put on desk duty after he was caught. Basically, and it's a video of this. They're arresting someone. A black man named Donnie Wright is just watching. He's a bystander. He's saying whatever he want to say, but it's a free fucking country, so you can talk. If you see a police arresting somebody, you can say whatever the fuck you want to say. You ain't got to sit there and be quiet, right? So he's talking to the officer, saying some shit to him. All of a sudden, Francisco Garcia just grab him and start hitting him. Put him down. You feel me? Put his head into the ground. All this fuck shit, right? And when I see videos like this, it's a couple things that I think. Of course, we have police officers who just abuse their power, who were given power. Maybe they was suckers before they was cops. Maybe they was some fucking poo butts before they was cops. Now all of a sudden they got a little bit of power and they want to exert that energy on any and everybody that they can, right? But also we got to realize too, I know that I believe in us trying to create some type of black and brown coalition between black people, Mexican people, black people, Latin people who were actually black too, right? But I believe in trying to build some kind of coalition with them. But keep in mind, family, it's a lot of Latin people in this country. It's a lot of Spanish people in this country who don't give a fuck about black people, who look at us with the same disdain as the white supremacists do, right? So I'm not against calling that shit out whenever I see it, because I don't like when people look like they with us, or they come to you in, they're fucking wolf in sheep's clothing, where they acting like they cool and acting like they want to be one with you, but the whole time they calling you nigga, and they having all these derogatory words for black folks. Think about that. Think about how many races of people got a way to call us nigga. They got a different slang they use as a derogatory term for black folks. Ain't that some shit? Right? We don't necessarily sit around and do that. The terms that we use for other people, everybody use them. Shit. That shit ain't exclusive to black folks. But other races of people, they have this funny way of creating slang and dialect directed at us negatively, directly, right? But anyway, this guy not only did this incident, but he has like 7 other priors where he's been sued by the city. He's been sued by different residents, or sued by different citizens for racially profiling them, for whooping their ass for no reason, right? So what we have in this country, bro, family, what we have in this country is a police system, like a police union, that pretty much allows these officers to do whatever the fuck they want to do. That's why they feel like they can just put their hands on you whenever they feel like it. It's no goddamn reason. He punched this dude. Like, just because you a cop, just because you got a badge, don't mean you can do whatever the fuck you want to do, right? But I think a lot of times racist men, insecure men who aren't confident in themselves, men who were bullied as kids, men who have found it extremely difficult to get the woman that they want, all these type of men find a haven in places like a police force, because it's like you getting the power that you've always wanted, right? You're getting the power that society has denied you. And then when you look at black men, you look at how easy it is for them to get women. When you look at how easy it is for them to be charismatic, when you see how much they've been broken down throughout history, but we still move the culture in the United States of America today. Ain't shit cool without us, period. You see what I'm saying? So I think a lot of other races of people, they have disdain for us in any way they can find to neglect us, any way they can find to mistreat us, any way they can find to treat us, how white society treats us. They gonna jump on that opportunity. You feel me? And again, I don't know this guy personally. I'm going by his track record. I'm going by looking at his actions, and that speaks volumes, family. So he may not be racist, but what the fuck is this? He's definitely abusing his power. You feel me? And when I'm looking at the incidents he's having, of course, he's messing with brown and black and brown people, because that's the area that he's sent to police in. But giving this dude desk duty, I think he got like desk duty where he's gonna be at his desk for a while. What the fuck is that? They always get slaps on the wrist when shit like this transpire, right? Where in actuality, this motherfucker need to be fired. Some of these cops, as punishment, they need to get put inside of the jail system, the same system that they spent locking up people unfairly. They need to be put inside that same system and see how they fare without no goddamn protective custody or no bullshit like that, right? So until these cops get fired or actually put in jail, which I don't think in America we will see a time where the police forces of America are policed by a higher force that prevents them from mistreating black and brown people. I don't think we're going to get to a point where that's the case. So that's why we need to continue to police ourselves. That's why we need to continue to figure out different methods and different methodologies that will allow us to unify, right, in different ways. Because we can sit around and talk about white supremacy and talk about racism. These things are true. These things are true. But at the end of the day, we need to find a way to love each other. We need to find a way to come together on our own, right? Because this shit ain't gonna stop. So like I was saying, family, unity is definitely the key. Teaching our family about how racism works, getting the best understanding possible of how to deal with these people. All of these things are going to help us when it comes to us liberating ourselves. And I don't see the police unions, the police departments of America, going back to the slave patrols, they've always treated us a particular way, family. We've always had a fractured relationship with these people. And again, I'm not talking about all cops. We should all be smart enough to know that we're not talking about, we're not speaking in absolutes right now. But there's definitely police officers around the country who are not only just a part of white supremacist organizations, but also are out to terrorize black and brown people, right? So we just need to be aware of these type of incidents and figure out the best way to fight these type of things moving forward. And also, one thing I will say, family, like on some real shit, we need to also determine or come to the conclusion that when I look at my community specifically, and when I look at like what the kids that I grew up with wanted to be when they were older, because of our relationship with the cops, because of how we seen them treat our brothers, our cousins, our fathers, right? We didn't like them. The relationship was fractured. But at the end of the day, maybe we need to start telling some of our kids, hey, maybe you need to be a cop. Maybe you need to try to infiltrate this system that has done us wrong for so many years. That's something to think about. Because again, that's a tough scenario, because sometimes when you enter into a police force and you the one that try to do the right shit, they ostracize you and get you fucked up because they be on some gang shit to a degree. You feel me? But at the end of the day, what else can we do? We need to figure out ways to not just improve our relationship with law enforcement, but figure out what we can do personally to fix this shit. Because relying on the system to help us in any facet doesn't seem like it's been helping good enough. Doesn't seem like it's been a good answer so far. So we need to figure out other ways as black folks we can come together and fix different problems that we see in the community. You feel me? Now, enough for the news stories today. Before I get on to the topic, I wanted to touch on different black businesses in the community. Like I said, when I do my podcast every week, I talk about 2 black businesses. 2 weeks in a row, I talk about the same business. So I give each business at least 2 weeks of advertisement. And again, as much advertisement as my little show can muster up. You feel me? So the first business I want to talk about is my boy, Mr. Lewis, who has a website. I'm proud to present that because he has a lot of content and a lot of music and clothes and things that he's been presenting to the public. But I think this website is a great way to create like a landing strip for everything that he's doing. So he has a website called rebuildingtheculture.com. Rebuildingtheculture.com. If you go to rebuildingtheculture.com, you'll be able to find his latest album, Rebuilding the Culture Part 2, which is a hip hop project that he came out with, which is pretty dope. Also on the website, the brother has his clothing line, which is God Mode and Goddess Mode clothing, which is some dope clothing. He has sweaters, he has t-shirts, he has joggers, hats, different things like that. So A really good brother, man. Mr. Lewis is out here doing his best to promote a positive message. Like I said on the last episode, being a rapper who chooses to speak about more of a conscious, chooses to speak on more of like a conscious frequency, you know, that does something to your career to a degree. Of course, you can still be popular. I think, of course, you can still make money. Of course, you can have a long career. But when we cut on the radio, we don't necessarily hear that kind of music. The music that we hear on the radio more or less pertains to partying or some type of drug use or just a fun vibe, opposed to actually giving you information you can use. You feel me? So I take my hat off to Mr. for, you know, trying his best to present music that represents the black culture in the best way possible. It has a positive message and, you know, speaks to family and speaks to empowerment and all the different things that we need to focus on in our community to make shit better, right? So I take my hat off to the brother Mr. Lewis. You can go to rebuildingtheculture.com. That's rebuildingtheculture.com. Check out his latest project. Check out all the clothes that he's doing. The brothers, I think he has some of the events and some of the things that he's been doing in the community. I think he has a little bit of that up there too. So please go to rebuildingtheculture.com. Check out my boy, Mr. Lewis. He got a lot going on in the Sacramento area. You feel me? He is a local artist from the Sacramento area, but I think anyone in the country can relate to his music, can relate to his videos. The brother's a videographer, so he does his own videos, but he does videos for other people in the community. You know, he's figured out a way. He's figured out what he's wanted to do. And for a large part, he's doing this shit himself. You feel me? As far as producing the music, as far as shooting his videos, making his own clothes. He has his hand in a lot of those things. So I salute that brother. I support him. Please go out and check out the website, rebuildingtheculture.com. Now, the next business I want to talk about, a website that I learned about from my boy Zoe Williams. Zoe Williams is a radio host in the LA area. Been following him for years now. I would consider him one of my mentors as well. Just a really, really, really good brother. But on his show, he talks about black business and things like that as well. And he has talked about this particular company for years now, right? The company I'm talking about is Power in One Clothing. Power in One Clothing. That's POI clothing.com. The message behind the clothing line is empowering black folks, you know, saying that, you know, all you need is yourself. You know, the power in one person is necessary to change the world, basically. So Power in One Clothing, a lot of empowering black messages on their t-shirts. They don't just have t-shirts, but they have jewelry, they have hats, they have different clothing that you can buy. All of it has different empowering slogans on the clothing. Real dope shit too. So I recommend everybody go to Power in One Clothing. Check out the gear that they have today. Again, you know, we're going to continue to support black businesses and talk about them as much as possible. But fashion, when we talk about black businesses, fashion is something that black folks in particular take pride in, right? Like, we spend a lot of money with all these different fashion designers around the world, and I'm not knocking that. I'm not saying that you shouldn't spend your money. I'm not saying who you should spend your money with or who you should spend your money with at all, or who you should spend your money with at all. But it's important, if we're going to improve our standing in this country, family, it's important that we figure out different ways to support one another. And if we're gonna spend a lot of money on fashion and on clothes, it's well known that we care about how we look more than a lot of people, more than a lot of other races of people in this country. We take pride in our fashion, and we fly, and we got a lot of style, and we move the culture forward with what we decide to wear. Like, that's a fact. But at the end of the day, we need to put some of that same vigor into black clothing lines, the same way we do with Gucci or Louis or any of these other white folks who, you know, for the most part, don't really give a fuck about our culture at all. So I think if you can find a way to support somebody black, and there's hundreds upon hundreds of black fashion designers in this country, you can just pick one to rock with, and the clothes and the gear is always fly, right? So I recommend going to Power in One Clothing. Power in One Clothing. Check out the clothing, check out the hats, the jury gets something from the website. You feel me? Now, enough of the news stories. Enough of the black businesses. We got those two businesses out the way. Now, the topic for the day. By now, everybody is aware of the video. The video that has surfaced of our brother Ahmaud Arbury being assassinated by two white supremacists. Don't get it fucked up. That's exactly what happened, right? So by now, everybody has seen the video. Everybody has been able to digest and come up with their perspective on what they think went on, right? Because of course, by now, you know, everybody knows the two men, a white father, Gregory McMichael, who was 64 years old, Travis McMichael, who was 34 years old. They see a black man jogging in their community. Let them tell it. There's been burglaries in the area recently. I just read a story about video footage that came out that showed Ahmaud standing at like a construction site. He wasn't vandalizing anything or removing anything, but he's just being shown at the construction site. So these white supremacists are trying to say that they feared he was going to rob something or do something wrong. They hunt the brother down and basically assassinate him in broad daylight, right? Now, of course, both men by now have been caught and charged with murder and aggravated assault. And the fucked up part about all of this, I mean, this happened February 23rd, family. And if you let the family tell it, some articles I was reading basically says that the prosecutors were declining to bring charges against these dudes, right? So the actual video being surfaced, I'm thinking was the catalyst. I'm thinking was the catalyst to actually making this happen. I'm thinking was the catalyst to actually, you know, making the police department in that area do something, right? But I think it's important, just like the whole theme of this show so far, family, has been the bringing home the fact that we need to unify, bringing home the fact that we need to love each other. This is because this situation didn't shock me. I don't see black men getting killed by police now and get completely outraged. I've come to expect it. No cop has gotten life for killing one of us, or not enough of them have gotten large amounts of time for the shit to stop. So I don't look at it like that. When I see incidents like this, I think, okay, as a people, again, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? How are we gonna figure out different ways to actually fight this system, family? Because I'm getting sick of this shit. I'm getting sick of seeing it's like on loop. It's like on repeat. We continually get treated the same way, and I don't think these cops are gonna get any real time, or these white supremacists fucking punks. I don't think they're gonna get any time. I don't think they're gonna do any real time in jail. You feel me? If you do a little history on them, I was reading articles about, you know, the father possibly being involved in like a Nazi group and different things like this. Well, of course he is, family. Of course he is, family. You can't justify doing something like that to somebody because you think he was out here. That's some vigilante shit. And one of the biggest problems about any incident like this, to me, is that they felt comfortable enough to do it. We live in a country where the black and brown bodies have been treated with such neglect that our life, family, the life of a dog, a life of a fucking animal, is more pure in this country than the life of a black body, right? This is a continuation of this system showing us black people in America, melanated men, women, and children in America, this country does not give a fuck about you, family. That's the long and short of it. So with knowing that, what are we gonna do? What actions are we gonna take to prevent shit like this from going on? Because I'm not one to, because look, I understand how racism, white supremacy has affected everything about our being here in this country. How we eat, how we feel about each other, how we treat each other, where we live, what type of professions that we aspire to have. All of this shit is kind of dictated by the slavery and the racism and the Jim Crow, all these factions of these different sections in time that we've been disenfranchised. All of it plays a role in who we are today. That's a fact. That's a fact, right? We have to understand that. But at the end of the day, I see a lot of black folks who are only outraged when shit like this happens. What about when there's no police brutality at the moment, or there's no white cop or white vigilante shooting us? How are we treating each other when none of this shit's going on? You see what I'm saying? Because I see a lot of people who only become revolutionary warriors, so to speak, when they see some shit they should be outraged about. When in actuality, family, we getting fucked over every day in this country. Every day, right? Seeing a specific incident does not make me any more upset or any less upset. Every day we should be doing shit to better our people. As on the individual level, you should be doing something to better your people. If you not, then you shouldn't give a fuck about when we get shot. You shouldn't give a fuck about when these white supremacists is harming us. What the fuck are you doing? You feel me? On a personal level, what are you doing? Calm down with all the bullshit, man. Let's figure it out. What are you doing today to better your community? Not just your family. It ain't just about your fucking family. What are you doing for your community at large? Huh? If you not, don't give a hoot. Don't worry about the brother Ahmaud Arbury. Don't worry about that, because you part of the fucking problem too. You feel me? You feel me? So calm down, man. Calm down. We need to realize something, man. When I see incidents like this, it's becoming extremely difficult because I'm a hip hop fan. I love our culture. I mean, I absolutely bleed that shit. I love it, right? But it's getting extremely difficult for me to listen to a black man talk about what he gonna do to another nigga, right? Who stepped on your shoes, who fucked your bitch, who took some dope from you, who sold some dope on your spot, who done some silly shit that in the large scheme of things ain't really got nothing to do with nothing. You will fuck him up. But we find out two white men killed a brother in New York, in Florida, in Dallas, wherever it may be. Who riding for him? Who riding for him, family? When the last time we heard of a white man killed a kid, killed a teenager, killed a black man, and all of a sudden his house was shot up? Just out of the blue, his house was shot up. He ended up dead, right? So when are we gonna put all of this shit into perspective for real, right? Because I'm not one to preach to anybody about black on black crime, because I know crime is a proximity based thing, right? It's not based on the color of the person you're around. It's based on who you live around. I get that. But come on, family. Come on, family. What we doing out here? What we doing out here? We need to figure out a reach the young dudes in the street. We need to figure out a way to reach the people in our community who haven't quite tapped in with their third eye yet. Who haven't quite figured out that the war starts inside of you, like the revolution starts inside of you. We need to figure out a way to tap in with them. A lot of us who consider ourselves conscious or who consider ourselves aware of what's going on in society, we have no problem talking to each other. We have no problem building at times. We have no problem coming together. That shit is a little easier, right? But we have a lot of people in our society who are black who don't really think that way. We need to figure out a way to reach these brothers and sisters, man, because these is the warrior class in our society. Some of them are coming over, some of them are rocking with us, but at the end of the day, as long as we keep treating each other a certain way, people outside of our community will continue to do the same shit too. What happened to this brother was unfortunate. What happened to this brother is nothing more than history repeating itself. These vigilante, white supremacist piece of shit motherfuckers won't get a whole bunch of time in jail. They won't. 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Something like that. They'll be out, right? But what are we gonna do? moving forward? What are we going to do moving forward? You see what I'm saying? That's why Melanated Fathers of America, my organization, the website that I started, you know what all this is for? You know what all this is for? To make black folks give a shit about other black folks. That's it. That's it. If we don't give a fuck about us, nobody outside of our community will ever do so, family. And that starts with kids. That starts with the beginning of the familial, the beginning of the family process. That's where the shit starts. That's why we gotta start taking how we start our families. We gotta start taking it more serious. If we don't want our kids to end up in jail or end up in poverty or in urban communities where the people who don't give a shit about us can take advantage of our ignorance, can take advantage of our lack of family structure, they've already created this problem for us. They're not going to get us out of it, family. They're not going to get us out of it, family. Like my boy Keon Johnson say, this is probably one of the most powerful statements I've heard in years. We in good hands, family. Our own. You understand that? Our own. You feel me? We gotta do this shit together. The only way we gonna come out of a lot of these situations we find ourselves in, the only way we're gonna put ourselves in a situation where we can combat white supremacy in a different way is if we figure out a way to come together. If we're individualized, if we're dealing with the fucking Jason Whitlocks of the world, the problems that we face will never be over. The people who come into our community and harm us, they'll never be scared. They're not fucking scared of us, family. They're not. They're not scared of any kind of repercussions happening at all. Right? So what are we going to do? I'm not telling nobody to go out there and be violent. I'm not telling nobody to go out there and hurt somebody else. But retaliation is a motherfucker. Right? That has to be a part of this game too. If a motherfucker busting you in your head, you can't push him. If somebody's shooting you in your head, you can't throw a rock at him. No, you're going to have to fight fire with fire, family. And right now in America, are we prepared to go to war with anybody? Right? So I think we need to take some steps back. We need to take some steps back and start from the beginning, which is basically just loving each other. We need to start with the love. We need to start with creating two-parent homes. We need to start with talking to our kids about racism. All of these things are linked together in one way or another. Now again, society has fucked us over, and you goddamn right we should get reparations. You goddamn right there should be some type of legislation that gives us money or does something to help us specifically based on the atrocities that's been done to our people. You're goddamn right. But am I going to sit around and wait on that? Am I to sit around and complain and say, hey, gimme? No. In the meantime, what the fuck are we going to do? Right? And I think that starts with how we raise our children, how we socialize our children, how we view religion, how we view Christianity, all this shit that ain't never done nothing to fucking help us, how we view racism, how we view our fellow man. All of this shit matters, family. And at the end of the day, there needs to be a level of unity, and we need to create some form of a code of conduct that we all can follow in some way or another. Because I'm not gonna wait for some type of fucking white savior to come save me, to come help me and my people, when we got all the tools and the resources we need to do this shit ourselves. We can do it ourselves, right? So it starts with us loving our families, man, loving our children, being accountable for the shit that we've been able to do or not do in our life. You see what I'm saying? The shit starts with us. The shit starts with us raising our kids right, talking to our kids right. Like your house is like your own little country, family. You can create whatever you want to create in that motherfucker. And if you sending your black boy or girl out into the world ill prepared to deal with the ills of this society as it relates to race, then you're doing your kids a fucking disservice, right? And I understand all of the dysfunctions that a lot of us come from, like the broken homes we come from, the not having fathers, and we got to contextualize all this shit so we can move forward. We can't use it as an excuse, family. It is what it is, and it's definitely a factor in how we treat each other and how we view shit, but we got to be stronger than that, man. We have an enemy that's fucking with us non-stop, like they don't stop fucking with us. And we got all these little petty beefs between each other. We got all this little shit we going through between each other. We got all these things that we focus on. We focus on buying clothes. We focus on looking hella nice. We focus on stunting on other black people, right? We not buying Benzes to stunt on white folks. We doing that shit to stunt on other niggas, right? What is all that worth? At the end of the day, what is all that worth? What is all that worth? And if we can't, as men who are getting a little older, who are in our late 30s, 40s, if we can't begin to disseminate some of this information to the younger generation, we really fucked. You know what I'm saying? So let's think about that, family. Ahmaud Arbery, I wish that brother's soul rest in peace. I don't think the men who killed him will get charged. I pray for his family. I hope his family figures out a way to get through this, like this real tragic situation. But at the end of the day, y'all, what the fuck are we gonna do? Where the gangsters at now? It's like we got so many gangsters. And again, I'm a big hip hop fan, always gonna be. So I'm listening to the music, I'm listening to the characters, I'm seeing everybody in our society talking all gangster with each other. With some shit like this happen, I don't see nobody do nothing. You see what I'm saying? And again, I'm not advocating any form of violence, but to me, that's just a sign of unity. That's just a sign of you hurt mine, I hurt yours. Ain't nothing wrong with that. An eye for an eye needs to happen sometime, family. You feel me? So this has been another episode, man, of the Melanated Convo podcast. I want to thank everybody for tuning into another show. I had a good time just getting everything off my mind, family, and kind of articulating everything I've been thinking about. This shit really helps me out a lot. I appreciate everybody tuning in. The show is always available on melanatedfathers.com. You can find the show on Melanated Fathers TV on YouTube. You can find the show on Spotify. You can find the show on iTunes. Most places podcasts are available. You can definitely find the show. I want to thank everybody that has donated to the Shelter-in-Place Community Outreach Program that we're doing here at my family's business, Thompson Rose Chapel Funeral Home, where we give out. So Thompson Rose Chapel Funeral Home and Melanated Fathers of America, my organization, we put together a situation where we've been giving food to the people in the community that have been adversely affected by the coronavirus situation, the COVID-19 situation, on Mondays and Wednesdays from 11 a.m. until all of the food is gone. We've been giving out lunches and it's been going great. I want to thank everybody, who's been able to donate. We've been able to make all of this possible so far by the donations of the people in the community, and that's been overwhelmingly humbling. You know what I'm saying? Like, just the fact that people are willing to give their hard-earned money in a time like this to a good cause. Everything that I've done so far, I've never really asked for any money. This is the first time, and I'm just, extremely pleased with the outcome and how everyone has been pitching in. So that's Monday and Wednesdays at 3601 5th Avenue in Sacramento, California, 95817, Thompson Rose Chapel Funeral Home. Right there in the parking lot, we give out lunches from 11 a.m. until all of the food is gone. We've been doing it on Mondays and Wednesdays. Again, we've been, family members have came to volunteer, and it's been, they've been extremely great and helpful. We've gotten a lot of supplies from different members of our family, as well as financial contributions. So it's been a really good thing, man. Melanated Fathers of America is an organization that I started, like I said earlier, to help black people, to make black people be aware, to help fathers, really just to help the entire community just help the entire community. And with the COVID-19 thing, we just wanted to figure out a way with everything going on to be as impactful as possible. And feeding lunches to the community, my soul just feels so pleased by the outcome of all of this. So we're going to continue to do it until this shelter in place thing is over. So that's Mondays and Wednesdays, 11 a.m. until all the food is gone. If you would like to donate, you can go to Cash App, $ Melanated Fathers 100. Venmo is at Melanated-Fathers 100. PayPal, you can look up my name on PayPal, Harrison Anderson, or Melanated Fathers of America on PayPal. So it's been going really well, man. I appreciate everybody that's helped out. I want to thank everybody for listening to the show today. Again, you can find the show on melanatedfathers.com. You can find it on Melanated Fathers TV on YouTube and everywhere else that podcasts are found. I want to thank everybody who has continually supported me throughout my journey of starting this website and just bringing information to my people that I think can be valuable and long-standing. So I definitely appreciate that. You can find us on Instagram at Melanated Fathers 100 on Instagram, or my name, Harrison Anderson, on Instagram and Facebook. This has been another great episode, family. Peace.